Yo, hey, how you doing? Yeah, how you doing? I don't know what that was supposed to be. Like an Italian guy? I don't know. I'm terrible at impressions. Why am I doing impressions? Makes no goddamn sense. Oh, man. Episode 7, Greg Revenj. It's Chris Marks, a.k.a. Jake Peary, Useless Threat Podcast. You know what's going on, man. Glad to have you here. Hope you're listening to it. I hope your morning's going well. Hope you're listening to it right, 10 a.m., man. 10 a.m. every Wednesday. Get on it. Get on it, man. Hope you're listening. Hope you're having a fun time. Not too hard of a day at work, but, you get your shit done, and then, it's hump day. Hump day. Hump day. You know about it, man. So this is a really cool episode. Before we get to that, I have an announcement. I'm really excited about it. Guys, I now work at Thirsty Planet Brewery. I got hired. Yesterday, man. Pause for applause. Give it up. Keep going. Yeah. Come on. Give me that love. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm actually really excited, guys. I'm a little tired right now because it's been a really long day. I'm doing the last edits on this episode so I can get it out tomorrow. I told Greg that I'd even have it out early for him, and it didn't happen. But I told him already. I was like, I'm a procrastinator, so maybe not. But I've just been crazy busy. But he's gonna be happy with the episode. The episode was awesome, and it's gonna be a game changer for this show. So it's really cool. So this episode is episode 7. It's Greg Revenj. Greg Revenj is a fashion icon. He is a star. He is a public figure, and he is now an HIV educator. The show is going to be different for a few reasons. First reason is that this is the first ever show that I've actually been outreached to get onto the show for, which is awesome. His manager contacted me after listening to the show and liking it, wanting to get him on here, which I was just ecstatic about. So that is just awesome. The second reason is this is going to be, first off, the first show that we're not drinking on. And second off, the first show that it's like actually about some real shit. The other shows, I mean, we have a lot of fun doing, which we're gonna keep doing. That's the point of Useless Threats. It's a lot of fun. I like the informality to it, but we still kept a nice informality on this episode. But the whole point of this episode was to spread Greg's message, and that is how the world perceives people with HIV, and he is not only being called the new face of HIV, but he is also a person that is approaching it from a different perspective. Everybody who is speaking about HIV is always talking consistently about prevention and treatment and keeping hope. But really, what he is doing is he's approaching it from the new scientific perspective that, hey man, it's HIV. It's nothing like it used to be. I intend to outlive everybody that I know that doesn't have HIV. And that's the way he's looking at it. And that's the way you should be looking at it. And I'm not going to say anything more past that because he's going to explain it to you. Because I didn't know this. Man, I was on the same, stigma as the rest of society. And I learned so much, and I can't wait for you to learn as much as well. He's an amazing guy in general. It's still going to be funny. You're still going to have a good time. Don't worry about that. Don't be like, oh, man, it's educational. No. This is exactly what he's trying to break. Hence, his new tour coming out doing this. It's called Educate Yourself. Now, does that sound like some boring pencil pusher doing this? No, man. This is Greg Revenj. This is Greggy G, as I like to call him, man. He's awesome. Dude, and in general, past any of the HIV advocacy, talks, past any of his star status, any of that, look him up on Facebook. Look him up on Twitter, because I swear to God, you're going to look at this guy and you're going to be like, man, first off, that dude has some really sick tattoos. Second off, you're going to be like, That is not what I pictured. And you're damn right it's not what you pictured. That's exactly what he's going for, man. He is himself, and he ain't going to change that. No matter what gets thrown at him in life, he ain't going to change that. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to him. I have my little good news. Bucket of Beers is coming up. We got a few more episodes before that. We got 2 more. It's going to be great. Next week's going to be my buddy Jeff, who's the head of sales and distribution for Pipeworks up in Chicago. Amazing dude, good friend, longtime friend, awesome freaking dude. He's going to be up in the studio. Then after that, I'm going to probably get my buddy Ross over from Real Ale in here. And he's going to be talking about how he got into the brewing industry and a little bit about Real Ale. But mostly we're going to focus on him because he's an awesome dude. And he is very heavily responsible for me having the job I have now and just getting into the industry as a whole. Him and his brother, and I mean, it just led down the line, man. It was just link after link after link in the chain, man, that got me into where I am. And it all just started with him and me being drunk walking our dogs at night. That's how you freaking do it, man. That's how you freaking do it. But anyways, back to the subject at hand. This is Greggy G, a.k.a. Greg Revenj of Revenj Jeans, man, and of ATX Life. He's going to be talking to you about what it's like to live with HIV and his upcoming tour, Educate Yourself. Listen. Okay. Well, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm really good. So you had an interview.
I did.
Just before this, right, at KXAN?
I did, yes. So I have embarked on a little journey where I am talking publicly about what it's like to live with HIV in 2015.
Mhm.
And KXAN caught wind of that, and, being one of the 2 biggest news, entities in Austin, I was super excited that they followed me on one of the dates and of the tour, I suppose, and kind of just interviewed me as I was, or I guess filmed me while I was doing the talk, and then afterward did a little interview with me, and so it was super exciting.
That's really cool. That's really cool. So did they found you then? They found
Yeah.
you with it? That's
Yeah.
awesome. Now
Yeah.
that's a good feeling. See, I'm sitting in that feeling right now.
Yeah.
Because y'all found me, and I
Yep,
still don't
yep.
know how you did that. And as soon as that happened, I was like, it's happening. Someone found me. They want to be on the show.
Found you.
And even though we used to work together, I was still just really, really stoked about it. I was just like, dude, someone found me. Especially when I found out that no one even told you. I was like, I still I want to ask her, how the hell
Ask
did you
her,
find
yeah.
me? Because I mean, at that time, I only had like 3 episodes out. I'm doing no advertising at all. I'm finding like some time during my busy freaking life to do this on the side.
Someone's looking out.
Someone's looking at it, and then I looked at the stats, and through Liberated Syndication, they show you like where downloads come from and everything. So I have 1 listener in California, and I'm dedicating these X episodes
There
to
you
you.
go.
I don't know who you are, but you're in California and you're listening to me, and I have no idea how you found it. So
that's awesome.
I have 1 fan.
1 fan. Take it.
Take it. I
One
will
turns
take
into
it.
2.
I will take it. So I want to just start with the top with you. I mean,
Okay.
we got a little while here with it. To everybody else who's out there listening, Greg actually was my manager before I left H&M at H&M, and I got to know him there, and he's a really awesome guy. But I want to start. I want to start even earlier than that, and I want to start with how you formed your company and what made you get into that, and your name Greg Revenj and everything that goes along with that. Do you want to go ahead and give me like some deets on that?
Yeah, for sure.
So,
So this definitely started, I would say, probably my first year of college.
Okay.
Where I guess that kind of like anti-establishment mentality of like,
Sure.
Fuck establishment essentially.
Mhm.
And to me it was because all of my teachers were teaching me how to get a job at all these other kind of like fashion brands, and I was like, no, I don't want to have that. I'm a Leo, so I was like, I want to be the center of attention. I want my own brand. So
I'm a Leo too. I'm with
yeah. So I was like, no, I'm gonna do my own thing. So I ended up leaving the academy and starting my clothing brand, and originally it came from that definition of revenge, but I spelled it differently because to me it was like a vendetta against people who had ever
Cool.
told me that I wasn't ever going to amount to anything. Or
Yeah, fuck you. I'm gonna spell it like this.
Yeah, yeah,
This
yeah.
is how I'm gonna do it. Now, Academy. Where'd you go?
The International Academy of Design in Seattle.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Now, I can't remember. Are you originally from Seattle? Where are you originally from?
Grew up in Helena, Montana. I was
Okay,
born
yes,
in,
yes.
Yeah, so I was born in Indianapolis, Indiana, but in light of recent events, I don't like to say I'm from Indiana. But
Sure.
But so I lived there for like 3 years before I moved to Montana, and then lived in Montana until I was 17, and then moved to Seattle for college. Lived in Seattle for about 5 years. So
Cool.
yeah.
Cool. Now, what made you leave Seattle? What made you come to Texas? Or did you go somewhere before then?
No, just from Seattle to Texas. Yeah,
Cool.
I figured out that I needed a change, and Texas was the next best thing, and
Cool.
it's been really awesome since moving here, but this definitely wasn't my first choice. But I had my grandma lives in Dallas, so it was like a support system that if I was gonna leave Seattle, that was the best place. So.
Sure. What year did you come here?
2012, I think.
Cool.
October of 2012, and then moved to Austin, October of 2013.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're originally living in Dallas then?
Uh-huh.
Cool.
Yep.
So so you started your company though up in Seattle, or when you got down here? So how many years was it established before you moved?
It's probably 3 or 4. I think I launched my website in 2008.
Awesome.
So that was of course after dropping out of school, and then trying to launch a website
Sure.
on my own. That was silly, but I learned so much, and I feel like everything that with my clothing brand, everything that I've learned I've taught myself, and I think that is more valuable than any price that I could put on actual education. So I think that it was something I started before I moved down here, and then moved down here and brought it with me. So
sure. I think I think there really is something to being in the creative industry and just going all out, taking that risk, because this industry is so risky in itself. No matter what part of the creative industry you are, music, film, fashion, I mean, even like the craft beer scene is becoming like the next creative thing. I can't even believe how many musicians in the craft beer industry like overlap constantly. I talk to like friends of mine who are gigging musicians who are like, oh yeah, I know who works here. I'm like, what the hell is going on? And I even talked to my boss about that the other day, of where I was just like, I really like the culture because like this is the next thing to music, and I just didn't want to be in the music industry. And he's like, what do you mean? And I was just like, well, the way that everybody treats each other, it's just like a freaking open door, at least for the most point. And you tell anybody your story like you are right now, they're gonna sit down and they're listening to it, and they want to do anything that they can to help you to keep it going, which is awesome.
For sure.
Okay. So going on. So tell me a little bit more about the Revenj brand and what you're going for now. Where do you see the future going, and what do you tell me what's going on with Revenj jeans, man? What's going on? Yeah.
So after I moved to Dallas, I was going to, then I decided that I was going to move to Austin because I felt like I wasn't fitting in with Dallas. The way that Dallas is not something that is in line with how I am.
Okay.
So then I decided that I was going to move to Austin, and I got a call from a friend that works for YouTube, where and he was like, have you ever thought about doing a show documenting like your journey with your clothing brand? And I was like, well, no, of course not. And he was like, well, I think you should do it. I can get you a production team. So we ended up doing the first season of ATX Life, which was really what I was intending it to be, was to, really show people what it was like to have a clothing brand and to move that clothing brand, from Dallas to Austin, or from Seattle to Austin via Dallas. But, to really show what it's like to start a clothing brand from the ground up, teaching yourself and going through the struggles of, wasting your own money when, something doesn't go exactly according to plan. So, I did that. And right now, with everything that's happening in my life now, I think that the brand has kind of taken a backseat, but I think it's something that is still very much a part of who I am. And I think that, once I feel like my platform is, really I guess solidified, that I think that that's something I want to continue to focus back up on, because it's that's where my creative outlet has always been, is in fashion. So, and
I feel I got two things here. I feel like so many people who are in these creative industries and stuff, they tend to do stuff like this where it's like there's so many things that you want to hit, and depending on the way that your life turns, that certain projects might take a back burner, but they always end up coming back around. And it's like everybody's always got something going on, you know, like, I mean, musicians always are in like 5 different freaking bands at one time. One might take off and the other one will come back around, and you know, anything like I told you, I'd originally intended this to be like a recording studio, and then I found out that there's water running through my walls that are making noise, and I was like, well, fuck that, I'm just gonna jam hard. And then it turned into a podcast. I mean, what the hell, you know? So, and then later on, I'm jamming with another guy I had on here, the guy you listen to, Stu. We're gonna be writing some music for the breaks and everything, so now maybe that'll turn into a band. I mean, it's just the way that everything, you know, it just goes around and just keeps, it's fluid. It keeps going through there. Now, the second thing is I've wanted to say this to you for a while now, and I'm actually really excited that we're talking about ATX Life. Now, I know that you had gotten some crappy feedback from that, but I want to tell you right now that when I watched that, I dug it. I dug it, and I dig it because I think you're being real about it. I mean, you're just trying to show the real process with it, and you always, I mean, people only leave comments on things unless they're completely hating on something, or they just love it outstandingly. Unfortunately, it's mostly the first one,
right? And
that's always the way it works. And so it's just like, you know what? Screw it. I don't even care. I'm excited to see this second season. I'm excited to see where it's going with this. And I will give you much respect that you kept going with that. No matter what, any bad feedback you get, you got to do that in this industry. You got to. I mean, no one is going to sit there. Well, sorry, not say no one. You're always going to have those people out there who are just going to sit there and hate on it just to hate on it. And you can't let that bother you. You never can. I don't really have that big of a listening base yet, but I'm sure
you will.
Oh yeah,
you already have a fan in California.
Well, thank you. But I'm sure that I'm gonna have people backlashing, especially with. I mean, like I told you originally, I had made this show thinking it was gonna be much more angrier, and it's called Useless Threats, and it was just with that oxymoron of I'm just gonna be sitting here bitching, essentially, which is just gonna be. So I was just like, I eventually will have either someone on here or me myself say something that's gonna piss someone off, and I was just like, you know what, I don't care.
It'll happen.
It's gonna happen. I can't remember where the heck. Okay, go off. Do you remember where we left off? You go. I'm ADD, so we're gonna just.
With the clothing brand.
Yes. So what do you? So now. I guess the next one would be I did not know that you were HIV positive, and I know that you're doing this giant advocacy for getting the knowledge base out there and everything. So when did this happen?
Diagnosis or starting to get out about it?
Diagnosis, I guess. We'll start with that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So I was diagnosed in February of 2014.
Okay.
And of course, because of all of the, I guess, public knowledge, I suppose. Knowledge, I use that word loosely because a lot of what I thought as knowledge wasn't really truth. It was, perpetuated by the stigma associated with the disease. But,
sure.
When after I, accepted it and really started to deal with it, to me it was that I really had to get out and I really had to educate people because when I was navigating the process to get myself into care and to make sure that I'm, taking care of myself, I didn't have someone my age. And, that's the thing about anyone is no one's going to listen to someone way older than them because they feel like they don't relate. They don't understand me.
Or any lesson that they get, they're not going to realize until like 10 years down the line. It's like, oh, shit, I should have listened to that.
Right, yeah. So I felt like I needed to get out there and really be a voice for people who were my age that, may be going through this exact same thing.
Sure.
And one of the big, I guess, disconnects is that, young people are not getting themselves into care. And, then they're, further transmitting the disease. And it's because they don't know what to do.
Right.
And that's the thing. The unfortunate thing about young people is that if we don't have the information in front of us, we're not going to seek it.
No, especially in these generations, too. Now, it has to be right in your face or else you're just not going to do it.
Yeah, and that's what they're used to, with any type of, social media or marketing. It's right in your face. And if it's not in your face, they're not listening.
Right.
So, that's the way that they were raised to, with the internet and whatnot, that if it's not right in your face, it doesn't exist. So...
Now, did the person that you got from, did they know they had it?
Yes.
So were you warned?
No, that's my case is kind of special in that sense that I was given the disease knowingly. So he's now last time I saw him, he wasn't in jail, but I know that he's being prosecuted as such.
From you?
Yeah, not from me, but from the disease intervention here in Austin.
Okay.
Because I told them that it wasn't something I wanted to be a part of. The really cool thing about HIV is that it has like a DNA fingerprint almost.
Wow.
So if it's when it's transmitted, they can measure the similarities in fingerprint or in the DNA print of it, and figure out if it was from this person that you got it from, and that scientific test was enough for them to further with the case. So then at that point, I felt like I could step away from it.
So I mean, that's almost like because of that, that's almost like if you get implicated, you're just done. I mean, that's fingerprints on the weapon.
Exactly.
Done.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean that's honestly a really good thing. I mean, like holy cow. I mean, you would think that's just nuts, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
I
mean that's I can't believe how good of a thing that is.
Yeah.
With it, because especially for someone like you or anybody else that's in your situation that has to deal with this. I mean, like. You would think like there's so many crimes that go unsolved that are like terrible and stuff, but you've got a disease here that is one of the worst ones that we face as humans to go through, and the fact that there's a fingerprint on it that's like that guy got shot down the street, you might not know about it, but that fingerprint is there left on the person. It's done.
Yeah.
That's actually very positive to hear. That's actually very positive.
Let me correct you on one thing.
Sure.
Just because it's
no.
Go
ahead.
It's definitely the only reason that I would say that anyone would think that it's the worst disease that we face as humans is because of this stigma. With HIV, it is so manageable now that they can compare it to like diabetes. And
that's
so
excellent.
I mean, like right now, when I go and get my labs drawn every 6 months, it's the viral load which is separate from like the rest of your test. That's on a separate piece of paper. But the last time I went, my doctor was looking at all my reports, and she's like, if I didn't have this viral load in my hand and knew that you were positive, you are healthier than most people. So it's so it's because of the stigma though that we think that it is so horrible. But it's, I intend, and through making sure I'm staying adherent on my medicine and whatnot, that I intend to outlive some people my age, because it's and I have to do the same things that anyone else does, like regular exercise and eating healthy and whatnot. Of course, I have to do a little bit more exercise and a little bit better eating, but it's I can live just as normal as anyone else, other than the fact I take a pill every day, and
that's awesome to hear.
Drawn, so yeah.
Well, give a little bit more of a basis, because I am someone who doesn't know that much about it. I only know what society is really thrown at me with this. I have no idea what's going on. So why don't you give like a little bit of education to our listeners and to me as well, because I'd like to learn more about this with it. Go ahead.
Where do I start?
You choose, man.
I mean,
you choose.
Definitely the way that it's transmitted. I think that I actually just spoke to a group the other day, and it was. I don't want to throw them under the bus, but it was eye-opening and quite frankly disgusting how uneducated they were, because they are in the position to further information, if that makes sense. So they are in a place where they can now go and tell someone other information.
Spread the misconception originally, and now at least you've corrected it so that they can spread the correct message going on there.
Yeah, so
that's hope. I mean, that's media, for you, but let's hope with it.
So that was one of the things I asked them, because in the U.S., the heavily diagnosed age group is 18 to 24. That makes up 26% of all new infections in 2014. I asked this group why. Why do you guys think that is? To me, what my answer was is that they don't have someone that looks like them, to tell them. They have their parents that are like, yeah, don't get HIV, and okay, Dad, sure will. But that was that was one of the
that's
big
exactly
things,
right. That's exactly right. Yeah.
That it was I was like, why does that age group make up almost a quarter of all new infections? And it's one of the responses I got from this group was because they're being promiscuous with drugs and alcohol. Here's the crazy thing, and I am a walking proof living proof that I didn't get it from having insane amounts of drugs and alcohol. I got it from someone who I thought I loved and I thought I
Mhm.
could trust.
You weren't doing heroin on the side of the road every
Exactly.
day,
Right. So
you know,
it's
crawling out of a gutter.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah. Exactly that. But that's the
No,
the
but that is
misconception that,
yes.
dirty people get it.
Right.
Homeless people get it. And
Right.
I'll admit I was in that same boat, that I thought that those are the kinds of people that got it, and that's why I was, prior to diagnosis, I was so. I guess turn the other cheek,
Mhm.
to it, is that I didn't feel like it could ever affect me, and that's what is so. What people need to know is that it can affect
Yeah.
anyone. And,
Yeah, anybody.
that disease doesn't discriminate. So, whether you're, a Fortune 500 CEO or, the homeless person doing heroin, anyone can get it. So
I think a lot of people think that only gay people can get it too,
Yeah,
which is
and
which is
that worries me,
ridiculous.
because
that's ridiculous.
that
I mean, that's
it
not. Yeah.
it started in the 80s, that with the gay population is where
Yeah.
they were seeing the biggest, and that's I actually follow a lady on Twitter who is doing huge leaps and bounds for the HIV positive women's community, because
Mhm.
two people, they think it doesn't exist, but they're one of the most looked over populations, because people think only gay people get it.
Yeah.
But
And specifically gay men, like
right.
people just think
Yeah.
that right
Yeah.
there. So I mean, I'd even be more scared for women as it, because I feel like even more of them think that just can't happen with
Yep.
it. I mean, you can easily have a straight relationship, or you could have also a gay relationship with it as a woman, and you can still get it. I
Yep.
mean, it just so that's one of the things I know, but I'm still learning. So you keep going. I want to learn more. Let's go.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's important to know how it's transmitted. It's only transmitted by bodily fluids,
Okay.
by needles, or by blood transmissions.
Really?
The thing that is, I say that hesitantly, because I think that that's one of the biggest things that I have a problem with as well, is that, like, gay people cannot get blood. They now have got it down to, like, if you haven't had gay sex in 1 year, you can now give blood. But it's like, we can test for it in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
That's so silly that,
Yeah,
that would be,
that's ridiculous
Yeah,
with it.
so
So
that's-
okay, so I actually thought so it's not through other bodily fluids. It's just through blood and blood. Wait,
no,
it's just- I mean-
blood, semen, vaginal fluid.
Okay, so it is through that too. So
Yeah,
what about
yeah, yeah.
saliva?
No.
No.
Not
okay.
at all.
Cool.
No.
Okay.
That's I have a really funny story about that. I was when I was in LA about a year ago with my grandma. We went to, I don't know, some fast food place
Mhm.
or Starbucks or something, and she got a drink and I took a drink of it, and then she was like, "Can I drink after you?" And I was like, "What?" She was like, "Well,
People
that's what
don't know,
Right.
yeah,
Like, she was like,
yeah.
"That's what I grew up knowing, that
Yeah.
no one knew how it was transmitted, so it was just like, distance yourself away from it as much as possible."
Right.
And I was like, "No, you can't get it from me sharing the same drink as
Yeah.
you." So yeah, it's just through those bodily fluids that are associated with the genitalia area.
Yeah. Okay.
And of course blood, but
okay.
yeah. So
Alright.
that's definitely how it's transmitted. I think one of the other misconceptions is that HIV and AIDS are the same thing. HIV is actually the cell, or the virus,
Uh-huh.
not cell, the virus. And AIDS is actually after HIV has run rampant in your body, unchecked, I suppose.
Mhm.
That then the AIDS syndrome happens, or the AIDS syndrome, because it is autoimmune deficiency syndrome. So it's after HIV has been rampant in your body for quite some time, it starts to deteriorate your immune system, and then the AIDS syndrome happens. And when the AIDS syndrome happens, that's usually where you get pneumonia and it kills you, or bronchitis and it kills you, because at this point you have no white blood cells to fight infection anymore. So that's where HIV turns into.
So it's technically not even AIDS killing you. It's just the fact that you can't put an immune response to go and fight it off.
Yeah, so it's that people think
Interesting.
that, like, AIDS is an additional virus kind of thing, but
Right.
it's actually just the
Syndrome that occurs from the HIV virus.
yes, yeah. So the syndrome is like, just your body being depleted. So it's something super simple, like a cold, that'll
Mhm.
end up killing you. So it's your body becomes susceptible to anything and everything, and something as simple as a cold will now kill you because your body can't fight it off. So
Okay.
so yeah, those definitely aren't the same thing. You also
turn your mic just a little bit towards you. Like take that little bottom hinge and just aim it. Yeah, there we go. Since you're sitting down now, just so it's a little bit important. It probably won't make a difference, but just in case, I throw compression at the end. But keep going. Sorry.
One of the other things is that it sounds a lot louder now. Hey.
Oh, does it? Okay. Yeah. I mean, I'll throw a compressor in at the end, which will equalize that level out, but it's fine. So yeah, but just since you're sitting right there. Yeah.
One of the other things is that it's also a misconception that you're gonna die of HIV.
Mm-hmm.
That was, like I said before, I was navigating this whole system. I thought that I was gonna die of AIDS or I was gonna die of HIV. We now have, I believe it's 34 FDA approved medications that you can take. Most of them are 1, 2, or 3 pills a day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm fortunate that I only have to take 1 pill a day. But I take 1 pill a day, and my viral load stays below a detectable level, which is what the CDC is now calling virally suppressed. We steer away from words like undetectable, which I think most people are familiar with, but in 2015, that's been the initiative to get rid of using that, because I think it gives like a false sense of hope, as like the virus is still in my body. I can still transmit it, but it's obviously a lot more difficult because now it's at an undetectable viral load, or that I'm remaining virally suppressed. So I take this medicine once a day, same time every day. And like I said, my body, to any doctor looking at my blood results, I look healthier than an average person. So.
Now, when you say that it's at that lower level with that, can they still run a test for it and it'll still show that you're HIV positive, or is that the reason that they're saying undetectable is because it wouldn't show up?
So a couple things with that. So when you go and get like a HIV test at like any kind of like Planned Parenthood or something like that, what they are testing is antibodies within your body that are fighting HIV. So when they're testing, they're actually testing for HIV antibodies.
Okay.
They're not testing for the virus itself.
Okay.
Mostly because it's not something that they can find as easy, I think.
Okay.
So with that, right now, if I were to go anywhere and get a test, I would still come up as HIV positive because I still have the antibodies that are fighting the virus. Now, that is a different test. That's a test that like you go and get at a testing clinic anytime. So the test that I get is actually testing how many copies of HIV are in my blood. So as of now, they can't see it. They can't find it. So what that means is that my viral load is below 20 copies per milliliter of blood. When I was diagnosed, I had 104,000. So going from 104,000 to less than 20. That's what my medicine.
That's a big deal.
Yeah. So that's what my medicine has done. So now when they're looking at the test, if they can't find it, they say that it's less than 20. So right now my viral load is less than 20 copies.
Who's calling me right now? I apologize, Greg. Sorry, real quick. My apologies. I will edit that one out.
That's all right. Okay.
That one, unfortunately, I don't think I can turn off the sound on that, so I was just going to come through. I would have just let it ring if not. But anyway, okay, keep going. Yes.
Let's see. What did
You're talking about what your medicine does and how it, what's the difference between it being undetectable and not using that phrase comparatively with it. Yeah.
So, that as of now, I'm, remaining virally suppressed. It's important that, you're remaining adherent, taking your medicine the same time every day. That's one of the other things that can happen is that people think that, I just take 1 pill a day, so it's okay if I miss a dose every once in a while. But the thing about that is that after you start taking medicine for quite some time, your body then begins to expect it.
Yeah.
And so then your body expects it, and then when it doesn't get that medicine, it doesn't know what to do, and then now the virus is going to start replicating itself.
Right.
That's what the medicine does. There's 5 different types of medicine. And I'm not even going to say the words because they're so scientific.
Sure.
But they each do something different in the replicating process of HIV within your cells. So they stop it in like 1 of 5 places. So, if you are not remaining adherent to your medicine, then your body now, or that medicine can now not stop it, in this different places of replication, so then it's able to run rampant in your body again, and then you have to start taking either a different kind of medicine or more different types of medicine. So that's nowadays most people, the average positive person who is virally suppressed is taking 1 pill a day. However, if they if they become what's called now I'm spacing the word resistant, If they become resistant to their medicine, that's where they have to either take now a cocktail of more than one pill, or 3, 4, 5.
Sure.
The kind of last hope thing is now this like kind of injection that they do.
Okay.
That I think gets there faster, or something like that.
Okay.
So it's it's important that you remain adherent to your medicine, obviously, but
Right.
that's with anything. But after remaining adherent, that I can live just as I mean, granted, I have to take a pill for the rest of my life, but I'll take that over dying. So
Right. Okay. So that actually brings me to, so like one of the only things that that like I know about going on with the virus is we studied when I was in biology class in my undergrad. Just a quick thing on it. We studied how it worked, and I mean, people's comments on it were like that it was so perfect as a virus with the way it works.
Yes.
That people argue it's a biological weapon with it. And I know that's going a little bit crazy, like saying on that
but
spec.
it's a smart virus.
But that, and that's where I'm going with it. So like with regards to the cocktail that's with it, so is it just different with each person on how much that they so like you're saying most people can control it with one pill a day. Is it just different with each person of whether they will react like that, or do we have it down to a percentage of where it's like it is very, very, very rare that they will have to even go to the cocktail eventually? Like, would you ever have to go to the cocktail? Like, I mean, you obviously don't know,
right,
with it, but would you statistically, would it seem that like you would just be able to manage it with the one pill, at least for most of your life?
Yeah. So
Nice.
there's it's like one of two ways. They do what's called a resistance test on your blood before they even start you on medicine. So they test it. They test the virus on what kinds of pills it may be resistant to.
Okay.
So mine was fortunately not resistant to anything. And
that's
because
awesome.
like I said, or because like you were saying that HIV is so smart,
Yeah.
that it can inherently be resistant to certain types of medicine. So mine was not. So I was fortunate that I could pick any medicine on the spectrum of what's approved by the FDA. So as long as I remain adherent to my medicine, there is no reason why I should ever have to change pills or have to take more of them. It's usually where you have to start taking more pills is that your body has built up a resistance to it because you haven't been taking it regularly.
Okay.
So.
Interesting. All right. So I guess I'm gonna just keep throwing a little few
fine.
crazy questions at you because I want to get like all angles of this.
Yeah.
So because it is so smart and because it works the way it does, would you say, is it comparable to like say like the common cold, of where there's just so many strains out there, or is it just one singular strain and it mutates? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. So there's actually two strains of it. HIV 1 and HIV 2. Whoops. HIV 1 and HIV 2. HIV 1 is the one that is most prevalent here in America, I believe, versus HIV 2, which is a different strain that is more prevalent in Africa.
Okay.
So the virus does mutate from person to person.
Okay.
The mutation, with that mutation, obviously it will carry whatever resistance it has already built up. But for the most part, they're pretty much all the same, if that makes sense. You just have 1 and 2.
Okay, cool. So, I guess this is, I don't even know if you know the answer to what this one, but again, another crazy one.
Yeah.
Another crazy one. Do you have any knowledge of how the start of HIV started? Because there's all those crazy stories about like monkeys and everything with that. Do you have any knowledge of like how it started or anything with that? Any ideas to throw out, or any actual like, full on theories, whatever going on? I don't know. You know?
There are a lot of theories about where it came from, that it was like some government kind of thing.
Right. And that's what I was saying before.
Yeah. So they exist. The best to my knowledge, they have what is called patient X or patient 1 or patient 0, whatever you want to call it. So he was a gay man here in America who was having sex rampantly and started the virus transmitting here in America. To the best of my knowledge, it is something that came from like a simian like primate kind of thing. I don't know. I think it was something with like eating raw meat or something like that.
Sure.
That then the human then got it, and then it transmitted from SIV, which is simian immune deficiency virus, to HIV, which is human immune.
You're freaking me out with zombies right
I can't say all these words. So from simian immunodeficiency virus to human immunodeficiency virus. So now it's switched. That's something else that I think is really interesting about the virus. How unique it is that like dogs cannot get it, cats cannot get it, you know,
You can
mosquitoes
see
cannot
where these
get
conspiracy theories come
Sure.
from. I mean, you really can. I mean, it's
Yeah.
nuts. When
Yeah.
when we did that, and I was in that class, and again, this is undergrad. You got to remember that I'm paying attention half
it. Right.
at most
Right.
that is going through there, but that did get my attention of where I was just like, I'm not a conspiracy theory person like going on here, but where I was just like, man, this is really perfect, and it's almost scary how perfect it is.
It's a very, very smart virus.
And then like, I mean, you go and throw in exactly where people are thinking that it came from, and all that goes through my mind with this, and this is not supposed to be insulting, is zombies. Is I'm just like,
Sure.
this is like, you know, like this is like
Yeah.
one of those stories that you would hear, like you'd see on like, you know, some pandemic movie
Right.
of where it's like you can't even believe it's happening.
Right.
So I mean, it is really interesting to see, you know, people's theories on this of where it's going. But
Yeah.
this is all very positive news. I'm actually really enjoying doing this segment. I'm learning a lot, and
Yeah,
I'm getting
good.
this. If we could take a break really quick,
Yeah.
I got to use the restroom. I'm
Okay.
sorry. I have the smallest bladder known to man. You
You're
remember
right.
that from when we worked
Yeah.
together. And then we'll come back and let's talk about some of the events you have coming up.
Yeah. For sure.
And let's talk about ATX Live Season 2, and let's go from there. So,
Cool.
all right, we'll be right back. All right, so we're back here with Greg Revenj of Revenj Jeans, and do you have anything that you're calling your tour? Or you're just doing it kind of thing.
Yeah. So it is called the Educate Yourself Tour.
Educate yourself.
Yes.
Like
exactly,
it. Okay,
Exactly.
okay,
So
okay.
my reason behind that is that, I mean, kind of obviously to be like, you know, funny and snarky, but you know, I think that while sure I'm bringing light to something that is so serious, that it doesn't need to be so serious. So you know, just really getting out there and talking to schools, different LGBT organizations, different HIV organizations that just, you know, here's what it's like to live with HIV in 2015. Because I think it's so important because, like I said, there's so many misconceptions.
Right.
And that's what the biggest...
Oh, I had a bunch of them
Right,
before
right.
doing this. And I knew I would. And I
Yeah.
was excited because
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah,
I'm going
yeah.
to learn something
Yeah.
today. This is going to happen. So.
Yeah, so it's, you know, even, you know, all the misconceptions aside, it's, you know, we need to educate people. So, you know, I'm going to educate yourself.
I really like that you're taking that stance, and I think it was Dave Chappelle who was saying, but he was basically, I mean, everybody would get mad at Dave Chappelle when he first started doing Chappelle's show, and they'd be like, they sent him all these hate mail of everything, and it's so angry, and he was basically like, why are you so serious?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, you know, we have so much, like, especially with the way that media works, like nowadays, it's almost like terrorism. It's like media terrorism coming at you because it's just in your face at all the time. I had an intro of one of my podcasts the other day of where that's what it's like. It's just shoving it down your face constantly of just whatever's selling. So sex and violence, essentially, you know, to put it, you know, punk terms, sex and violence. No,
Forgot rock and roll and drugs.
No, right. You know, but and it's just like it's nice to be able. I think that's a big thing of how you're going to get to people our age and everything with it is that you are making an attempt to not just be like textbook.
Yeah, no one wants to,
no one's going to do that. The way that, you know, the millennials are approaching things is that it has to keep their attention. It's like we're just breeding more and more ADHD.
Yes.
Like just constantly and it has to, if you're not having, you know, 3 things going on and like at the same time, you're not going to pay attention to me. Like I know like myself, if you ever like looked at like if there's like any like statistics, and I'm sure they're out there of like how much I watch Netflix or Hulu or anything like that, I'm not watching it like 85% of the time, but I have to have something going on in the background because I am like that. I can't keep my attention. So you doing this and doing it in a comedy style, you know, and it's not a comedy style, but bringing that lightheartedness,
not so serious.
Yeah, the informality of it, you know, and that's really the best way of putting it. Informality. We're not joking about it, but we're bringing the informality that is in front of it, calling it something of like educate yourself.
Right.
That'll grasp more people because I mean, like I said, it's just there's so much, especially with the older generations of stuff going on in the world that is just so freaking serious all the time. That's like you're in school, and who the hell wanted to be in school in the freaking first place? So you're not going to pay attention to it. So putting it in this form of media, I think is a very, very smart decision on your part.
You.
You're welcome. But I also think that this is a good way that it's going to get people out there, and you're going to have more people, like you just said, of that saw you at Starbucks, and they're like, they recognize you because you're doing it through the social media aspect. You're doing it through, through stuff like this. You know, you're on useless threats right now. Like I told you at the beginning, I was just like, this is not our average episode.
Right,
I mean,
right.
granted, I've only recorded like 7 episodes, you know, with it, but you know, it was just like I was stoked as soon as I got the email. I was like, yeah, let's do this, man.
Yeah.
Let's do this. Cool.
Yeah, that's I think Martha Stewart said it best. We call it diversifying.
Diversifying.
Yeah, so that's getting myself anywhere and anywhere and anywhere. Wow, anywhere and anything I can get myself into. You know that I'm spreading this message.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think is how to do it.
Anything.
And,
Yeah. I agree with that. Yeah.
And I always start my speeches with my magazine cover of HIV Plus magazine because you know, like I said, you know, if you go into it, you know, trying to be a textbook and, you know, reading all this, you know, statistics and stuff, they're going to get bored. So I start with that magazine cover on a slide on a PowerPoint, and I say, you know, this is the cover of this magazine that I was on. You know, of course it's not, you know, of course, like, it's really cool to see that, but you know,
Just
I
throw
tell
some
them,
narcissism in there.
yeah. so not. I mean, even on that first or on that cover, Andy Bell of Erasure is on there, and he's like you know this little picture on the side, but I'm this whole damn cover of this magazine, and you know I always tell them that now I'm gonna space. Rihanna was the cover after me, and Tyson Beckford was the cover before me. So I'm like, you know, featured amongst these two, you know, huge celebrities, and like they're like, oh, I'm listening now. You know?
Yeah,
So
yeah. You need to send me
get-
those links before I forget
sure,
too
for sure.
at the end, so I can put that with the podcast. I want everybody to be able to see all of that, all of the stuff you're doing coming up, especially that magazine. I want to see your face on the cover of this magazine.
Yeah.
I haven't seen this. When did that come out?
It came out. Well, the date that it went to, or I guess was released for print, was August 18th.
Okay.
So that's when they shipped it out. I believe there was 500,000 copies of the magazine. So 500,000 copies of my face.
That's pretty friggin'
that was
sweet.
really exciting. I actually picked up probably like 10 or 15 of them from my doctor's office. And I went there and first I called them and I was like, hey, did you guys get the new cover of Plus magazine? And they were like, oh, what does it look like? And I was like, oh, it's like dark, and then it has like a guy with tattoos on it. And they're like, oh yeah, we got that one. And I was like, okay, perfect. Can you save a couple for me? And they're like, yeah, I mean, we have like, you know, a few stacks here. I think there'll be a few. And I was like,
They didn't recognize that
save
it
me
was
a few.
you?
Well, because it was on the phone. It was on the
Okay.
phone. Yeah.
I was
So
like, you're just trying to like avoid it. It's dark and there's this guy on there. Is it you? Yes.
so I get there and they're literally as I'm getting there, they're like opening them to start like putting them out into the lobby, and I'm like, oh, that's the one I came for. And she was like, she looked at it, she looked at me, looked at it, looked at me, and then was like, is that you? And I was like, that's me. And she was like, wow. And I was like, yep. So that was really cool.
You're right. That is me.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
recognize right now.
Yeah, it was.
Feed
it
it.
was awesome.
Feed my ego. Get
Yeah,
up there.
a little
Yeah.
bit,
No.
little bit.
It's that's awesome though, man. That really is awesome that you reached that front. I mean, that is a lot of copies, man. That is really, really cool. Have you had anybody else like reach out to you that's seen you through the magazine,
Oh,
that
yeah.
like has seen you at these at these expos that you're doing and at these events that you're doing and everything?
Oh yeah, the first actually like within 24 hours of that magazine like going to print, and then of course they posted it on their website. I had over 150 new likes on my Facebook page, and I was receiving messages from all over the world. I actually probably a month after that magazine came out, I got an email from a guy in Croatia. I can't even point Croatia out on a map, but he was like, I'd love to use your photo and, your story for this campaign I'm doing. And, now I was in, this testing facility in the middle of Croatia, this giant 2 foot by 3 foot photo of me that, that I'm inspiring people. And that was, I still to this day, to me, I'm just this normal person, sure, I've been on a magazine, whoop-de-doo.
Right,
but,
right.
It's that like I have this huge story to tell, and it's, and people are listening. And I think that was the biggest eye opener, when I started receiving emails from people. And, I got an email from a guy who was actually, he had just been diagnosed that day in the clinic, saw my magazine. And, reached out to me that, he was like, now because of this, I know I'm going to be okay. And like, if I have to put myself out there and be that person that's, now the new face of HIV, like if I get success stories like that, then now he can, breathe a little easier because he knows he's not going to die because I'm out there doing this, then that's more than I could ask for.
That's awesome.
So.
Yeah. Yeah. it's amazing when you hear people talk about things of this nature, and you get that response. I've never been someone who's done it, but I mean, I can only imagine that even like hearing I remember I think it was Eminem who said it, but he had made a comment that he was like, I do this for myself, but if I even hear one person that they said that this made their life easier, that's one thing. And I mean, yours is even farther than that. I mean, because you're talking about someone who is afraid of where they were going to go with their life because of it comparatively. And I mean, that's just outstanding, man. Yeah. That's outstanding. And I can't imagine how great that's got to feel. Yeah. Especially like, because you were in that place. You said that originally, that you were in that place of before you had the knowledge, you were freaking out. And of course you would be, you know? And it's really, I mean, that's gotta be amazing. And I hope that keeps happening for you. That people are just like, you know, thank you for that, because you are doing, you're making a giant effort throughout your life. And I know you're a very busy person in general, and to add this on top of it, you know, going with it, you know, I think it's really awesome that people are responding that way to you, and that you are doing this in the first place. And I'm going to say that, probably said that like 5 times already, but I got to give you praise, man.
Thank you.
Because I mean, it's something that people need to know, and it is not only great for people who have the disease to know that there is that hope, that there is someone that is their age, like you said before, that is of their style, that's not someone like the teacher from Ferris Bueller sitting there, you know, because that's all I imagine is like originally like.
But that's how discussions are happening, and that's why no one's listening.
Yeah, it's just that monotoned old man sitting there, you know, with it, and no one's paying attention to it, and so doing it, and you coming out with the way that you look, you know, with all your tattoos and everything with it, to show that. Now, I think that's really, you know, speaking especially in Austin, but and in our generations in general, that, you know, you are a normal guy. This happened to you. You are a normal guy, no matter what else you are doing, and to hear that from your perspective of, you know, you didn't ask for this. You weren't going and doing again. You weren't going and doing heroin. Well, let's add another drug in there. What are we doing? We're doing meth over. Meth. Making meth. You know, over in your bedroom. You know, out of whatever it is. I don't know, those cough medications that you can't buy anymore. You know, I think that's pretty awesome. Now I want to get a little bit more personal again. Now you're in a long-term relationship right now, right?
Yep.
Does he have it?
He doesn't.
He doesn't.
Yeah, that's what's really cool about, you know, our story is we are what's called a serodiscordant couple. That's where you have someone who is
Say that again really quick. What was that?
Serodiscordant.
That is a cool word.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's where you have someone who is positive and someone who is negative, you know, in a relationship. Of course, obviously we have to take, you know, a few more precautions to make sure that it's not transmitted, but you know, it's totally possible, and I think that that's something it's really cool that, you know, we are able to do that, because I think that one of the other things that really happens as soon as someone is diagnosed is, now who's gonna love me?
Right.
And that happens so often, because it's just like a sense of, you know, like, you know, my life is over now. No one's gonna take me this way. I'm now tainted. Yeah. And, you know, it's that, you know, I always tell people this. I had a close friend of mine, you know, come out that he was positive to me, and I was like, you know, anyone who is worth your time will not care. Mm-hmm. Whether that person be positive or negative, that's beside the point. But anyone who is worth your time will not care. Yeah. And that's because of course, like, you know, as soon as I was diagnosed, I kind of went off the map and, you know, was terrified of what was going to happen to me. He reached out to me and was like, you know, where have you been? What's going on? And I'm like, well, you know, I'm HIV positive. And his response to that was, you shouldn't have had to go through that alone. And that was, of course, like, my heart just melted, of course. Yeah, but it was that, you know,
I got goosebumps when you just said I just got that feeling going down. Oh.
Ah.
Yeah.
So it was that, and like, you know, that it's, you know, and the really cool thing about him is that he won't make a decision without getting all the facts first. So he was like, I mean, kind of in the same way you did, break it down for me. Yeah. So start from square one. Yeah. And so I, you know, gave him the, you know, whole synopsis about it. You know, and he was like, you know, that's fine. I don't care. And one of the other really cool things, and this is where, you know, I'll probably get a little more controversial, but there are studies now that are saying that people in serodiscordant couples, if the person who is positive remains virally suppressed, that they cannot transmit the disease to someone else. So that's what they're calling a functioning cure. Is that, you know, if we can get everyone to a virally suppressed load.
See, and I was gonna ask that. I was
Yeah.
gonna say I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you. I was
You're
gonna say I forgot to ask it earlier, but functioning cure. I was wondering if they're going to call it like that because it's almost like because of the way that the disease works and everything. When you get to that, say it again,
virally suppressed.
Virally suppressed. That's what we call it. Okay. When you get to that level, like even if they were to find a cure, you know, like complete cure of everything. I mean, I feel like the study would have to take place over a number of years because of the way that shows up there. And so so who's to say that when you get to that virally suppressed level that isn't at that level of cure, right? Because it's just the way that it works, you know, with it. Anyway, go on. That was just a thought that was I remember that popped back up into my head, but keep going. Yes.
Yeah, so you know, that being virally suppressed, there's a study that has been going on since I want to say 2010, 2012, somewhere in there. So they're coming up on their 5-year mark. So it had to have been 2010. So after this 5-year mark, they're going to release the info as, you know, statistic fact. But they have, I believe, 1,100 couples and have, I think, 45,000 documented cases of sexual intercourse between these 5,000 couples, whatever it is. And there has not been one documented case of transmission between someone who is virally suppressed.
Not one.
In this study.
Wow, so, that's awesome.
And I mean, like I said, that is still controversial because, you know, now someone's going to twist my words and be like,
I'm sure. Sex, and because of that, I want to go ahead and I want to get to the ugly truth of two things really quick of this. First off, have you gotten any bad responses yet for saying something like that? For saying that, or for anybody knowing that you are in one of these couples of where there is the potential, and now we've talked about it, there isn't much of one. There isn't much of one. Statistically, there isn't.
Right.
Especially if you're being safe about it.
Yep.
You know, but have you gotten any bad responses of anybody like being hateful? You know.
No,
of this?
Not personally.
That's
but
good.
I would venture to say that a lot of that is probably because no one's going to tell me that in person because I'm this personality. But
sure, but even hiding behind, you know, the internet or anything, nothing like that.
Not personally.
That's beautiful.
Honestly,
that's awesome.
like I feel lucky though because I know it happens and I read it. And
I'm sure that someone's gonna do it.
Yeah,
I mean,
all the studies that are that they're documenting because they put out this report. I think it was like a halfway point. Like here's where we've gone thus far. We've had this many documented cases of sexual intercourse within these couples, and we've had no documented cases that scientifically they're saying that someone who is virally suppressed, it is 6% possible to transmit HIV, but they haven't said it officially because the study's not over. There were, I think, 2 cases of transmission, but then they figured out upon further study it was because someone was unfaithful within the relationship and had sex outside of that. But
so this is almost, I mean, it's almost like not to equate to this, but it's just like statistically of going with it is that it's almost like birth control on it, of where it's just like that percentage is just so low. And I mean, there's no way, science doesn't ever give you 100%. You can't give 100% because everybody's so afraid of being sued or being liable or something. You have to have that 0.00001% that's in there that says we didn't do it. Right. We didn't do it. You know that says that. So it's almost like that of where you've been at this stage for so long that the chance is so low that we will not say that it is 100%. We will never say it's 100%, but we're at that level.
Yeah.
And that's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean that is incredible. Now the other ugly truth that I wanted to say about this was so through saying liability. So you're in this relationship. Your partner's obviously okay and knows the risks, knows everything with this. Do you have any idea of what terms legally that goes through? And I'm not. Again, I'm just doing a show here. I'm not coming at you like I'm very angry with you for doing this. I just want to know. Do you know? Has there been cases of? And I almost feel like there has to have been of where it's just like someone agreed that they were in a relationship with this, and then. But again, with these statistics, it doesn't make sense saying it. But say someone wasn't virally suppressed. Virally suppressed?
Yes.
Okay, this word has got to get into my head. I'm not gonna. My memory is so bad. Anyway, of where say they had contracted it, with it, but they had already been okay with the relationship. What is the stipulations of liability during this. I mean, obviously, your guy who had done this, he was liable. I mean,
Right.
there's no question about that one.
Yeah.
But someone who has agreed to this, I mean, do you got to get it
Knowingly?
in writing?
No,
I mean, no. I mean, that sounds funny, but I'm being,
But seriously, yeah.
seriously though.
Yeah.
I mean, what happens?
Yeah.
Do you know?
So at this point, because it is something that we've discussed openly, that I have said, I am HIV positive. You are willingly getting into this relationship with me. That if, like I said, though, the small chance if he were to contract HIV, that then he would be, liable for it. Like, I mean, there would be no legal action against me or against him because of it.
Okay.
Of course, and then there are, couples that are positive, and that's
Yeah.
fine and dandy.
Yeah.
But so I mean, at this point, because I've now released myself legally, I guess. By disclosing that, then now it's kind of in his ballpark.
Sure. So actually, this is going to get real crazy with this, because we had already talked that there was 2 strains before.
Yes.
Is there the possibility, if you have strain 1, and then would you be able to contract strain 2 at the same time? Could that happen?
No, but here,
Okay.
I mean, yes, but strain 2, they're like, I would venture to say there's like a very small number in America, but there are also studies of what is called super infection. And that's getting more than 1 mutation of HIV.
Wow.
I want to say again, it's probably like 3 or 4 cases
right, like
total,
something like ridiculously small.
But it's that there is the possibility of that. But like I said, going back to someone being virally suppressed. So now, if you're in a relationship where you have 2 positives, if they're both virally suppressed, now your percentage is 3.
So this is going along again with like. Talking about this openly, but it's almost making me laugh here. There's a thing called super HIV that's happening.
Well, it's super infection. Yeah.
It's like the super villain over here. It's terrible. Okay.
Yep.
All my head, all I could think of was like the worst, like this villain that is coming down. That's just like we're going to. He's only affected 3 people. He's the worst villain that you've ever seen in your life, because he cannot make his presence known to anybody else.
Yep.
But he's super infection going through. Anyway, this is where my mind goes.
You're
yes. Anyway, okay, so actually, we've talked about your partnership, and this I'm really glad to hear that this is going this well for you. I mean, this is awesome, man.
Yeah, we're actually coming up on a year. May
awesome.
25th. Yeah.
Cool. So yes. So this was the guy. I actually remember you telling me about this guy.
Yes.
This is the guy you told me about that you were smiling about when you first started dating him. You're just like, I think I got something here. That's awesome, man.
So
awesome.
Coming up on a year.
Yeah. Cool. I hadn't left at that point. Yeah, man.
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay, so let's get into the awesomeness of this whole thing. Let's talk about what you're doing, man. What these events coming up and everything.
Yes.
List them off for me. Tell me a little bit about them on the Educate Yourself tour, man.
Yes. So actually, right now I don't have anything publicly announced as far as the Educate Yourself tour goes. Of course, I do have some things in the works, but the legal contracts, signing all that. Because I won't publicly announce something that's not legally signed.
Right.
I have a reputation to uphold.
Yes,
but,
yes.
So I don't have anything as far as the Educate Yourself tour on the books yet. As soon as I do, I post those on my Facebook. I post them on Instagram.
Cool. So these are separate from that. We're doing the things coming up that you have coming up.
Yes,
They're
separate from the
Sure.
Educate Yourself tour. Yeah.
Cool.
So I actually just signed up to do an event in New Orleans. As part of the New Orleans AIDS Task Force. So they are flying me out there, giving me 2 nights of it in a hotel to come speak at this conference. It's called the Empowerment Conference. And that's where they will, it's like 300 or 400 HIV positive people and just about, living with HIV. So they have all these different kind of breakout sessions. And so I'll be talking at the big one where they're all at. And then I'm also doing a breakout session where I'm talking about, what it's like to live with HIV in 2015. One of the cool things about this event is that, of course, it's open and free to everyone, but it, for the most part, attracts, HIV positive people. But I get to, show them these are all the cool things you can do being positive. So it's like, I don't, I get to inspire them, to go out and, start speaking publicly about it, or, go out there and do something themselves, because it's so important that, we are out there talking, because I mean, when I go and talk to these places, I feel like they're hiding. And
Yeah.
they're scared, and it's
Yeah.
like, we're not mutants.
Why are
This
you
isn't
hiding?
X-Men.
Yeah, you're not
Like,
lepers.
Right?
This is not happening. Yeah.
So it's
I
like
feel I was actually going to say that earlier. I feel like people almost treat you as modern day lepers. It's like that is just ridiculous, which is stupid.
Yep. And I mean, then that's the nature of it. That's the stigma behind it. And it's that's I actually, when I was doing the interview with KXAN, they asked me what was the hardest thing to overcome being positive, and I was like, it has nothing to do with me. It's the damn stigma behind it. Like it's I'm fighting this invisible monster that is like so pertinent, you know, that it's because the stigma there's misinformation, because the stigma there's fear, and it's like, you know, the disease is the easy part. You know, living with the disease is not what's hard. It's you know, dealing with all the other, you know, shit that comes with it. So
man, you know what? You're a strong person. I mean, I always knew you were a strong person, but I mean, I mean, we could all honestly say this too. You openly chose to move to Texas. First off, Texas, which I mean, even though we live in a city, you know, with it's still Texas. I mean, it's one of the reddest states out here with this, right? So not only are you choosing to move openly to Texas and then you contract HIV, it's just like, man, you're keeping it real, man. You got this. You got you know, you're badass.
Thank you.
Yeah, you are. You are.
Yeah, that's something I've always felt that you know, when anyone, and I'm sure like every like public figure says this, but you know, when they're born, they felt like they were meant for something more. You know, I really felt that way, and you know, still do. And now I've figured out what it is.
I mean, now you really are, man. Yeah.
So now this is bigger than me. This is bigger than, you know, it's bigger than me. I now have a story, and I have a platform, and I have a difference to make. Yeah. So it's, you know, it's. And
you know what's even even more well, it's not even more incredible, but this is a very amazing add-on with this is that I agree with you. I feel like with the turnout that you're having and the way that this is going, I do feel like you are meant to do this. This is what what you're meant to do with this. But I also think that this is going to, in general, make your life in general that much more fulfilling, you know, coming through is because you were meant to do this and you're reaching other people. And not to mention that, you know, you said the clothing line was on the back line and everything. I mean, this is not, and this is not supposed to sound like you're doing this for a gain or anything. This is just supposed to sound like it's awesome because it's going to come with it. Is that I think your clothing line, when you go up and do it again, I mean, your backing is going to be amazing with it, and I think that's a great thing because you know, in general, people should back you.
I hope.
I mean, not only for your creative design and your amazingness in your design, but the fact that I mean, you're really showing people when you deal with something like this, right? And I can't speak because I've never had to deal with something like this, but what I can imagine is when you deal with something like this, you're opening your soul to people, man.
Oh yeah.
Your life is now an open book.
Yep.
I mean, there's no such thing as it. No, there's no hiding behind anything.
Yep. I can't anymore.
No, not anymore. I mean, I mean, when you decided to do this, I mean, that's it. I mean, everything about your life is now essentially a reality show. ATX life aside,
right.
It is now a reality show.
Yeah.
It's going to, and not a fake one either. It's a real one. It's happening there. So I mean, when you go back to do your clothing line, I can't imagine how much backing you're gonna get, which is just awesome.
Yeah.
Because I think you deserve it. I really do. I think you do, man. Speaking on that.
Mm-hmm.
What's up with ATX Life Season 2? When's that coming out?
Absolutely.
What's it going to entail? Or is it really going to entail a lot of this, or what do you think?
Much more of this. Okay. Yeah, I think that again, like I'm still going to talk about the clothing brand because it's there, but so much more because there has been no documentation of what it's like for someone to live with HIV day to day. There's no like docu-series or whatnot of what it's really like. So first and foremost, that's really what I'm trying to cover. By talking is that, or by doing this show is that show what it's really like. And I think the funny thing about it is that we were shooting the other day my getting up in the morning scenes, I suppose, and it was like they were like, go in the bathroom, brush your teeth, then go shower, and then dry off. And I was like, okay, but I mean, like, that's and it was like we had to bring light to that because like that's how normal it is. And so it was like it was weird, but it was just like that's what we really need to show is how normal it is. Of
Right.
course, I would venture to say that my story or my case is a little abnormal just because I am, such a public figure about it, now
Right.
being slated by,
You being who you are. is
right,
just-
yeah. And then, now being slated as like the new face of HIV by like several companies, like now it's like, you are a public figure, but
Right.
all celebrity, for lack of a better word, aside, that it's so normal, that my life is so normal. I
Yeah.
can live with this disease. Anyone can live with this disease, and I think it's important to show that. One of the things I'm really excited though about one of the episodes is that of course, every 6 months I have to get my blood drawn
Sure.
so that they can do all the different tests and make sure everything's
Sure.
okay. So we filmed at my doctor's office, me getting my blood drawn. So I'm super excited that we get to put a parental discretion advised on the episode. Feel like I'm on I don't know, some reality show where they where there's gonna be some like
There's
off the
gonna
wall
be
thing,
some bad
but-
shit going down.
Right. But it's we get to do that just
Right.
because it's we have to legally because most of my viewers are under the age of 18, and if you're doing that, then you have to show because I'm showing blood on TV.
Okay, I was
so-
gonna say which part, the blood?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm really excited that I get to do that. But
yeah, I get to
yeah,
put
so
parental
right,
advisory on
yeah,
it.
like I'm like
Slap
ooh,
it
some
on
kind of
there, man.
badass. But yeah, so we're working on that now. And the premiere date is May 25th, which is also Memorial Day, which is also my 1 year anniversary, which I totally didn't even know that when we were planning
It's
that.
just
but-
happening.
Right.
Hey, more that you were meant to do this, man. It's
Right.
just aligning. It's just aligning.
Yeah.
The earth is aligning to you. It's happening.
Absolutely. So that's May 25th on my YouTube channel at youtube.com/ATXLifeShow.
Cool.
And it'll be at 8:00 p.m. Central, which it's always been just because we're in the Central time zone. But so May 25th.
Cool.
Yep.
There's, honestly, there's another, two more things with this is that, first off, I think that anybody, speaking about earlier, who gave you any crap for this show originally, that I think when they see this time, there's no cheesiness to this. This
Yeah.
is freaking real, and if you're
Yeah.
gonna hate on it,
They're
what
gonna
the hell?
shut up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're gonna shut up real fast.
Yeah,
I
yep,
mean,
yep, absolutely.
and I think the other thing is that you're not only doing this show about living with HIV, you're doing the show and people see you, the new face of HIV. You're showing who a person is, especially who looks like you living
Yep.
is doing this. And that's, that's another thing that people are overcoming. We were talking about this earlier, where I was saying, you moved to Texas
Yep.
being who you are, and
Yeah.
now you have HIV, with this. And then not only that, but you're covered in tattoos.
Yep.
You got piercings. You got your hair done the way it is, man. You are like the epitome of what Texans on everybody that is not in a city
Yes.
is trying to throw out.
Yep.
And doing that, you are not only showing, what it is like for a gay man living in 2015 being HIV positive, but you are also showing what it is to be a normal, nice guy who has tattoos, who is like this. We are not freaking felons here,
Yeah,
man.
yep.
On that note, I thought this was really funny, and I want to talk about acceptance in general, especially with this, because that guy Stu that you heard that interview with,
Yeah.
right? So I'm not used to the craft beer scene down here. Bringing this to this in relation is different than when I was up in Chicago. You go up into Chicago and you go anybody in the craft beer scene, they are completely covered in tattoos,
Right.
piercings, everything
Yep.
like this. I already told them when my buddy Jeff is coming down in a few weeks from Pipeworks up there, I'm like,
Mhm.
you guys are gonna see some shit. This dude is fucking covered
Right.
with it. But I remember I'm the only guy at Thirsty Planet who has tattoos of any kind or
Really?
anything. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's actually very common down here, which is weird, especially even in Austin. No one's got this shit.
Right.
And so I remember the other day, Stu had emailed girl Allison, who runs all our events and all our volunteers and everything, and he was like, am I allowed to wear my septum down during while we're in the room? And she's like, I don't know the answer to that. And so
Right.
she asked Mike, the other owner. She goes, hey, Mike, is he allowed to wear a septum? And he goes, what the hell is that? And he goes,
Yep.
the piercing in his nose. He goes, oh, fuck yeah, man. That was literally his response. And he goes, we need more of that shit
Yep.
around here. That's why we hired Jimmy. He's talking about me. And it's just like, we need more of that stuff. He goes, people around here need to know that you should be getting your tattoos and your piercings and everything. I
Yep.
was just like, all right, man. All right. Anyway, that was a side note, but I mean, you're standing for a lot of cultures right now. I mean, you're not only
No
standing for the
pressure.
yeah, no pressure, man. You're not only standing for the gay community, you're not only standing for the film community, you're not only standing for the fashion community or the HIV community. You are just adding more and more communities. Why don't you form a band right now? We were supposed to form a band a little while back.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to do this now too. We're just
right.
gonna throw that in there. What else we got? So I mean, you got acting. I got to think else. So do you do it? You do painting too.
I do
You were
paint,
supposed to do something for me. We had never done that.
Yeah, I
so
just
okay, so
remember
now what creative interest? You need to become a chef. That's what you need to do now. You have to become a chef on top of that, because now we just got to take the creative industry as a whole.
Right.
You're gonna
Just
stand
all
for
of it.
every single one that's in there.
Right.
And throw it on there, and become a tattoo artist. Sorry, you got to do that too now. So now you're
I
gonna
think that's
figure
where
it
I
out.
draw the line. I don't think I could ever do a good job at tattoos. I have so much respect for tattoo artists because I could never. It's so difficult.
Why?
I just feel like
actually-
doing like a straight line. Like,
Yeah.
I could never like a straight like. Where the thickness looks the same.
Right,
like,
right.
The tattoo would look so messy.
Dude, that honestly, I had thought about doing that like a while back. I was like, I should just do a tattoo artist thing. But the thing that I couldn't get over is, man, if I fuck up, this is on someone.
Forever,
That's really that's the problem.
Yep,
I can't get over that, man. I can get over a lot of things, but the idea I'm just like I could really fuck someone up with this. I mean, if it's me, I don't care. I mean, I'll screw myself up, whatever. I mean, you've seen my crappy one that's on there, but I mean, I don't care about that. But it's just, yeah, I couldn't do it because of that. But yeah, you got some more stuff you want to announce, man? Anything you got else going on? Anything else we haven't hit?
ATX Live. Oh, the interview I did with KXAN.
Yeah, let's talk more about that.
I think actually when this airs, it'll already have been out. But it actually airs the 18th. They said between 7 and 9 a.m., which is silly because I will not be up at that time.
No.
But I'll totally post it on my Facebook, as soon as it comes out. I think also, obviously, my social media. I'm on Facebook, facebook.com/Gregory Revenj. It's REVENJ, just to clarify.
Because
not
he's
GE,
angsty.
because
and
I'm
he's
angsty.
Because he's angsty.
Yeah, but it's I don't know why, but people like when they look at it, they pronounce it like millions of types of ways. It's Revenge just with a J.
The hell do they pronounce it as?
Revenj, like it's just separate from it. I don't know. So my Facebook is
I'm
that.
gonna slap those
yeah.
people. No, that's what's going on.
Yeah,
No,
I don't know. So my Facebook is that. My Twitter is that. Of course, I have Instagram, but that's G Revenge. So
cool.
I'm out there. I'm on social media. Yeah, I think that's all I'm really doing right now.
Cool, man.
Getting out there, getting my voice heard, and it's starting to catch on, which is more than I could ever ask for. So
well, I'm gonna promote the hell out of this too. I need send me those links. Make sure I got them. It's gonna put. Oh, thank you. I'm gonna put. Yours is more important, but
all right.
but I will put those up there. But it has been a pleasure, man.
Likewise.
So
I'm super excited.
Yeah, I'm super excited to hear. I can't wait for this, man. So yeah, this has been the interview with Greg Revenj over here. You should go and educate yourself.
Educate yourself. Do it now.
I'm Chris Marks. This is Useless Threats. This is episode 7, I believe. Yes. And it'll be out soon. And enjoy it. You click on all those links. You go and educate yourself.
Please.
And just go ahead and go and find this guy on social media in every way and just bombard him with love. just tons of it. You're just amazing. On another note, too, really quick, he has awesome tattoos. You should really just look at them while you're looking through all his like pictures and stuff. Just like I remember when I first started working with him, I was like, this guy's tattoos. I'm like, might look like shit compared to this. Fuck. Anyway.
Well, let me tell you, I've put probably I don't know the cost of half a BMW into my body. So
well, there you go. There you go.
I mean, I got what I paid for.
Yeah. You're looking good, man. Yeah, it's been a good show, man. I can't wait for this episode to come out. So, all right, we'll see you later. Thank you.